or who have lost loved ones, I should say, due to drug-related issues. And it meets at Seven Hills Behavioral Health Center on South Main Street in the corner of Columbia Street from 7 to 8:30. If you're interested, please see us in the back and we can get you some information. Thank you and God bless.
My name is Mike Bryant. I am Program Supervisor of Stepping Stones First Step In Homeless Shelter and a SAMHSA-funded project called Project FAIR. And back of me you'll see is the second annual Stepping Stones Recovery Rally called Wake Up, where we want folks in our community to wake up, to educate and promote and advocate that recovery is real. Behind me you'll see folks who are speaking right now who are prime examples that recovery is real in our community. It's not a myth. We hear a lot of the heartache and a lot of kind of the downside lately in our community and with local media. However, recovery is real. This event promotes that. This event promotes recovery and prevention and education. We've had the privilege that it was a rainy event that the mayor of the city of Fall River, Jazio Correa, welcomed us into the atrium to have this wonderful event, which is, thank God, because it's pouring out now. He shared a few words about his advocacy for our community and those who are suffering from addiction and promoting those who are giving back to our community, who are active in recovery. We also had a representative of BSAS and Department of Public Health. His name is Derek Meehan, and he came by to show us his support as well. We had Representative Carol Fiola's office here represented, Senator Michael Rodrigues, and a slew of other folks that came through to support this event. It was absolutely fantastic. We're just wrapping up now, and the community came in droves, and it was a wonderful event, and I'm super happy to be a part of that.
Our next speaker is Felicia M.
I didn't expect that I was speaking this early. I'm Felicia. I'm a graduate of Stepping Stone. I graduated in 2008. When I went there, I was 19 years old. I went into treatment because my house had gotten raided. My daughter was taken into DSS custody, and I had no other choice. I could have kept using, and I didn't want to die. I didn't want my daughter to stay in DSS custody. I went to treatment because I just wanted custody back from my daughter. I didn't want to stay clean. I didn't want to recover. I didn't want to go to meetings. I didn't want to do any of those things. I just wanted custody back from my daughter, and I thought that I was going to celebrate my 21st birthday in a club, drinking, smoking pot, whatever it was, and I spent my 21st birthday in a meeting. And I can see that, like, I never thought that I, like, would stay clean. I seen that program. I wanted to leave many times. I wanted to use many times, and the director would just keep telling me, leave tomorrow, leave tomorrow, leave tomorrow. And tomorrow came, and I never wanted to leave. I left that facility, and I was able to get custody back of my daughter within 72 hours, and it was the first time that I was able to take care of her not high, and I didn't know how to be a mom. I didn't know how to be any of those things. I didn't know that I was supposed to cook dinner. Like my daughter, when I was getting high, she didn't have dinner. She ate, chicken nuggets or basically whatever she wanted. And I had to grow up. I had to be a mom. I had this little girl that I knew nothing about. I just knew who her father was and how old she was and when her birthday was. So like while she was in foster care, I had to ask the woman to write me a schedule, let me know who she was, because I had no idea who she was. And it was a very humbling experience for me. Like to ask somebody else about my child was a big deal, right? And I got her back, and I went back to school. I was able to get in a program where they allowed me to go back to school, where they paid my rent and utilities for 2 years as long as I was doing something to better myself. And I went back to school and I was able to stay in that program while I was at school, and my daughter, grew and she got older, and I learned how to be a mom. And then I learned how to be a mommy. I learned how to participate in her life and show up, be the mom that is at the school concerts, because like my mother wasn't. I always wanted to be the soccer mom that my mother wasn't, and like I eventually turned into that soccer mom. I drove a minivan and everything. I was afraid that if I got high, I was gonna die. And when I first got clean, like, it wasn't like this. There wasn't people dying every day. There wasn't 488 people dying within, a 6-month period of time. So I'm grateful that I was able to like take the opportunity and like just run with it and stay clean in the process. And when I was like 3 years clean, I ended up getting pregnant with my son, and this time I was going to do everything right, and I wasn't going to do drugs, and I wasn't, going to smoke pot, I wasn't going to drink, I wasn't going to do any of those things. I was going to be like, I was like this organic freak, I don't know. And I had this healthy, beautiful little baby boy, and my significant other, he started using drugs, and I lived in a house with an active addict, and I was finding drug paraphernalia around my house, and I told him that he needed to leave because the disease of addiction would take 2 for 1. As much as it hurt to see him go, and that like he was getting high, I knew that if I got high, everything I worked so hard for would be out the window. And due to like my disease of addiction and shooting heroin, like I got hepatitis C, and I never took care of it because my doctor would tell me, you can go on treatment, you can go on treatment. But I'm a single mom, and I was in school, and I didn't want to get sick, so like I wasn't going to do it. I was going to take it. I was going to do it later. I was going to do it later. Like when you want to get clean, you have the desire to stay clean, but no willingness to do the work that has to go with it. Not staying in treatment, or not going to meetings because it's not for you. And I can tell you that like I believed all those things. I didn't think that like meetings would work for me. I didn't think that treatment was the best decision for me. And today I know that it was. And my son at 18 months got tested for hepatitis C, and he tested positive. And at that point, like it was one of the most hardest times in my recovery, and I wanted to get high, and I went to meetings, and I shared, and I raised my hand, and I cried. And I went to his doctor's appointment, and the guy, his doctor had told me that, like, well, maybe if you had done treatment, he wouldn't have it today. And I decided to do treatment, and within 2 months of me doing treatment, my son was non-detectable. And I believe that that was my higher power telling me if I took care of personal responsibilities, that like everything would be okay. And I knew that if I got high in that process, that like he wouldn't be okay. I truly believe that. And within that process, like I had a house fire, I lost everything in the house fire, and everyone's saying to me, oh, you don't have to get high, you don't have to get high. And like I didn't want to get high, I was just angry. And I was sad, and I had 2, beautiful kids, and we were homeless. And when I was in that halfway house, the director there would tell me, the director that told me, leave tomorrow, leave tomorrow, leave tomorrow. And I didn't pray when I was in treatment. I didn't know how to pray. I didn't know any of that. I didn't believe in anything. And before I left there, he said, say a prayer, right? Say, God, take my will in my life and guide me in my recovery. And I didn't think it was going to work, and it did. And the night that the day that I went home to the house fire, like he's now a firefighter. He was the firefighter that approached me, and he said, Felicia, I'm sorry. And in the process of looking and I share this because there is hope, right? You don't have to get high because tragic things happen in your life, like, you just don't have to get high. And I was looking for apartments, and I kept looking for apartments, and I couldn't find anything. And because I have a felony charge, I was ashamed. I didn't want to fill out the applications because I didn't want to be judged, right? Because I felt that, like, people look at me in a different way, and I'm not, the person that I was almost 9 years ago, and people still have the stigma on people that do drugs. And so I ended up, emailing a woman, and she emailed me back, and she told me, give me a call, and I called her, and she said, what was the house fire? And I told her the address, and she said, oh, my buddy such and such was fighting that fire that night. And her buddy such and such was the director of that halfway house. And I believe because I was doing the right thing, like God, my higher power was able to bless me with good karma, if you want to say that. And, I was able to get that apartment, and somebody gave me a chance. Somebody believed in me, and somebody didn't stigmatize me, put me in a category where I was no good, right? And when I filled out the application, I refused to write on 2 lines why I was a convicted felon. Because I was no longer that person. I walked into treatment 19 years old, a young girl, a young little baby girl, and I was no longer that person. And he gave me a chance, and I'm still there at that apartment, and I still see that, the director of that program, he lives 2 streets away from me, and I see him every morning when we're getting coffee, and we have conversations, and he encourages me to go back to school, to better my life further. I know this. I know that the community showed up, right? My daughter's school raised $4,000 within 2 days. Her soccer team donated uniforms. My friends that I've met, in the fellowship had a fundraiser for me, and I know that if I was shooting dope or if I was smoking crack, that none of those things would be possible. The community showed up. There was random donations from people in the community that had touched my spirit, right? Had made me realize that even though I may be an addict, I don't have to live like I'm actively using. I don't have to actively use because I go through some pain. And I know today that I can make a difference, whether it's at my place of employment, whether it's in the in the fellowship, whether it's at my daughter's soccer team or cheerleading, and my son has mental illness, and I fight for him every day. And I wouldn't be able to do these things if I wasn't clean, right? Some days, even still with almost 9 years clean, I want to get high. But I just don't. I go to a meeting, I raise my hand, and I ask for help. I'm grateful that somebody believed in me to come up here and share my story, even though I really didn't want to. I'm full of anxiety. I always feel like somebody's judging me, and that has nothing to do with anybody else. It's all me. And I don't know. I'm grateful today that I woke up clean. I'm grateful that I'm here and I can share my story. Recovery is possible for everybody. Even with the desire, you have to have a little bit of willingness to do the right thing. You have to have a little bit of willingness to ask for help. You don't ask for help, we can't give you the help. Just keep trying. You can't get into treatment, keep calling. Keep calling. And I'm just grateful that I was given the opportunity to walk into the courthouse and surrender, and end up in a facility where I hated and I couldn't shave my legs and all this crazy stuff, and I didn't want to stay. But I just stayed for one more day, and I didn't get high. I know this for me that I've lost a lot of friends in the process of staying clean. I graduated with a class of 500 students, and 100 of those students have died in the last 2 years. And whenever I speak at a meeting, I always say that my life is worth more than $10. My life is worth more than a bottle of nip, bag of heroin, bag of crack, any pill. I may not have everything that I want, and everything that I want is material things. But I have the love from people that support me in my community, people in my workplace, my family, my friends, people that I grew up with that I haven't talked to in years. They always tell me how they're so proud of me and that I'm a hope shot for somebody else, right? Even if it's one person. I know that people complain about the community and people getting high, and the other day I had said, there is hope, right? It is possible for anybody to stay clean. It is possible for anybody to recover and get their family back. And for the people in the community that doesn't believe that it's possible, that judge the people that suffer from the disease of addiction, they should probably stand up. They probably should get some knowledge and understanding about the disease, even if they don't believe in the disease and they think it's a moral choice, which I know today that it's not. They should get involved with the community if they would like their community to be a better place, and if they want to help their community instead of complaining like we need to get up and we need to do something, whether we're the addict, the family, the community, the neighbor. I believe that like if we don't stand up as a community, like my kids are affected, your kids are affected, the future of the kids that are growing up in this, community, in this world, like they're all affected. I believe that like we can give them a shot and a chance at life if like we choose to stay clean and we choose to stand up for what we believe in. And that's it. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. And we have the next speaker is Steve.